our inspiration goes back to Mile Sur Mera Tumhara, with all the artists in place and shooting done in many different parts of India. So that almost like stands like it's out there, right? It's like a pole star guiding us, and it's one of the pioneering efforts in the history of Doordarshan, basically. So, but today it's possible to do a lot more. In the year 21 to 22, one of the things that struck me was, hey, this is the 75th year since 1947, and let's do something about India, which is different from anything that's been done before. So it's like, how do I narrate the story of Bharat in 75 ragas, with each line depicting India in some way or shape or form, with the name of the raga showing up? Thank you so much, Aparna ji. And thank you for the opportunity to be able to share something I really love talking about on Sangam Talks. So it's really a privilege to be on here. And once again, thank you all for making this happen. Okay, so the topic is Rag Darshan. What is Rag Darshan? Darshan is, a couple of years ago, I mean, 3 years ago, I had come up with a music documentary video called, musical documentary called Yog Darshan. Yog Darshan is a musical account of the history of yoga over the last 3 millennia. So the thing is, the history of yoga is not fully correctly represented worldwide, and there's lots of omissions. And what I had done in the video was collect literature and set them to music, both in a couple of languages, actually, in Sanskrit and Tamil, and narrate the whole thing as a musical story of covering about 3 millennia. And it received a lot of acclaim, particularly from people like Professor Nagaswamy, the Padma Bhushan awardee, and all that. So in the year 21 to 22, one of the things that struck me was, hey, this is the 75th year since 1947, and let's do something about India, which is different from anything that's been done before. So it's like, how do I narrate the story of Bharat in 75 ragas, with each line depicting India in some way or shape or form, with the name of the raga showing up? And ideally, I would have liked to have this performed by 75 singers, but then logistically, how to actually make a pakka video recording which would really showcase the majesty and the grandeur and the beauty of Bharat using the media of music, vocal music, instrumental music, and visuals and lyrics and everything like that. So that was the idea that is brewing in my mind. And I'm really grateful to the Hindu University of America for making this a reality, for helping us produce it, and for releasing it last year on August 15th. So it's going to be about a year since the video has come out. So what is Rag Darshan? Rag Darshan is an 18-minute long music video that's out on YouTube. And it basically starts with the word phrase Vande Mataram, which is, I offer my salutations to the mother. And the mother here is Bharat, basically. And what are her attributes? So the attributes are described in 75 plus lines. So in 75 different ragas. So the first raga is Desh, that most of us are familiar with. And the last raga is Bhairavi, which is usually the concluding raga in a concert. So what I am going to do right now is to just play a small segment of the video and then explain what to look for in the video, because a guided listening of this video will really yield quite a lot to the listener for a lot of reflection and also for understanding and so on and so forth.
Vande Mataram, Vande Mataram. Panchadasharadamalinim sakala deshakala pravartini Shatamarga samatattvadarshini Shatakoti janarupadharini Vande Mataram, Vande Mataram, Vande भरतादि पूर्वीक मुनिगणवेदिनी पूर्वीक मुनिगणवेदिनी वेदशास्त्र पुराणेतिहास काव्यनाटकालमृताम् उत्तुंग हिमाचल केदार मकुटा केदार मकुटा समुद्र संप्रोक्षितोर्मिका भोज चरणा
So that is a very beginning, first segment of this Ragamala. It starts with the Raga Desh. So the things I'd like the viewers to look for in the video are, first of all, the lyrics, which show up at the bottom. There's a title band at the bottom where the lyrics show up and the translation shows up below that. And to the left, you see the name of the raga. So to the left, you see the name of the raga and the number. And there's a little bit of color coding here. If the name of the raga is shown in green, it's from the Carnatic music tradition of southern India. And if it's in red, it's from the Hindustani music tradition of the rest of India. And if it's in blue, it means the same raga exists in both the traditions with the same name. And under the lyrics, if you look at the way it is coded, the name of the raga is actually underlined. So what you're looking at here is Raga Kamboji. So Samudra Samprokshitormi Kamboja Charanam. So Samudra Samprokshita Urmika Amboja Charanam. So the previous one, Uttunga Himachala Kedara Makutam. So Kedar is underlined, and that's the name of the raga. And prior to that is Veda Shastra Purana Itihasa Kavya Nataka Alankritam. So Nata is the name of the raga here. And prior to that is Bharatadi Purvika Munigana Vedinim, one who was understood and praised by the great sages such as Bharata, the sages of the ancient times. So Purvi is the name of the raga. So there's a lot to decode in the whole thing. The text, the meaning, the name of the raga underlined, and also the tradition where it comes from. This is the Hindustani raga. So far, the story that has been said is that the whole Ragamala is divided into 4 components. The first part is just about Bharat, the civilization. So the first part just talks about the civilizational aspects of Bharat. So this is a civilization that was perceived by the great munis such as Bharata. And it is hailed by the Vedas, the Shastras, the Puranas, and the Itihasas, and the Kavyas, and the not great dramatic traditions. It's bounded by the Himalayas, which has peaks such as Kedarnath. And again, Kedar is the name of the raga here. Then Samudra Samprokshita Urmi Kamboja Charanam. It's washed by the spray of the waves of the Samudra, the ocean that surrounds its feet. So that's so basically it's just the first part is just a description of Bharat itself. Now, what is a Ragamala? A Ragamala is an ancient tradition of expressing something. It's a garland of ragas. Ragas are an element of Shastriya Sangeet or Indian classical music. Ragas exist only in the Indian tradition. So a raga is a melodic concept. It relates to a group of melodies which follow a certain set of rules. I don't want to get into follow a certain set of rules. I don't want to get into the technicality of ragas, but we are all familiar, most of us are familiar with the word rag. So a ragamala is a garland of ragas. So particularly in the southern tradition, we have composers who lived more than 200 years ago who have composed ragamalas which stretch to as many as 10 ragas or 14 ragas. Like one of the greatest composers that lived, Muthuswami Dikshita, who lived about 200 years ago, who is the source of inspiration for this work. His longest Ragamalika is about 14 ragas long, and his father, Ramaswamy Dikshita, has composed even longer ones. And So, and the name of the raga is usually encoded within the raga malika, and which is the tradition that I have followed in this. So, the inspiration behind this is not just the raga malikas of the Dikshita tradition, but also Vande Mataram itself, and also the words of Mahakavi Subramanya Bharatiya, who describes Bharat in so many different ways. So I'm going to fast forward to the next section of this Ragamala. This is a section which talks about the rivers of India. A couple of years ago, I produced a music video, composed and produced a composition called Ganga, Yamuna, Sindhu Kaveri, and all that kind of stuff. It's called The Rivers of India. So it was performed by Bombay Jayashree and Kaushiki Chakravarti. And over the past few years, it's gone viral. So that song celebrates the rivers of India. And here's a little line which alludes to the 7 rivers that are worshipped in the various slokas that are uttered by people all over India, in addition to Brahmaputra and every single water body that consecrates India. And so let's just listen to that section.
Ganga, Yamuna, Saraswati, Godavari, Narmada, Kaveri, Sindhu, Sarovar, Brahmaputra, Jalavyapini, Vividhakara.
धीरां धीरसमर्चितां गम्भीरां गगनान्तस्थां
ज्ञानार्णवां कापि सुलभां करुणासागरां कलावतीं कलालापां कलानन्दकलिकाम्.
So the last few lines describe India as Bharat as the embodiment of Gambhir, majesty, Dheer, bravery and courage, and also artistry, and also Jnana, the ocean of knowledge, and also compassion. And the upcoming lines also describe her as one who is rich in material wealth, and also the source, the fountainhead of yoga itself, the Ashtanga yoga, beginning with the yamas and the niyamas. So let's just listen to those lines.
गाररससम्पूर्णाम् उत्तुङ्गगोपुरसदना
महाभोगसम्पत्प्रदात्रीं निर्मोहा
यमनियमाद्याष्टाङ्गयोगविहितं कल्याणगुणशालिनी यमनियमाद्यष्टाङ्गयोगविहितां कल्याणगुणशालिनी ज्ञानफलै.
This line is important. It describes all aspects of divinity: strength, prosperity, valor, vitality, power, generosity, fellowship, accessibility, goodness, love, mercy, and one who is loved by all, Jana Samoham. The name of the raga here is Jana Sammohini. Let's just listen to this line.
ऐश्वर्य वीर्य तेजो सत्यौदार्य बन्धुत्व सौलभ्य सौशील्य वात्सल्य कृपा पागां जनसम्मोहां वन्दे मातरं वन्दे मातरं वन्दे मातरम्.
So that is part 1 of the Ragamala, which talks about the civilizational aspects of Bharat. The next section is called a sacred geography. So what do we mean by sacred geography? India is a land of pilgrimage, and pilgrimages have brought people together across millennia, people across the region together in many different ways. For instance, the way the eternal city of Kashi is in the lives of many across India as a must-visit pilgrimage destination. A dip in the Ganga, a visit to Rameshwaram, and all that. So the entire land of Bharat is has been visualized by the ancestry as a very sacred space, all the way from the Himalayas to Kanyakumari. So, so we have a line in this composition that says, "A se tu Himachala Paryanta Dik Vijaya Krit Shankaracharya Vidita Khilanda Parameshwari." What it means is that many noble souls have actually experienced Bharat through pilgrimage. Like Adi Shankara is one of the best examples of the people that actually undertook a trek all over India, visiting places and describing the glory of the places that he visited in verse. So you have this component, the sacred geography segment of the Ragamala, commencing with a salutation to Adi Shankara in the Raga Shankara, and then the Raga Parameshwari. And then we go on to other sections of India, all the way from Kashmir to Kanyakumari. So I'm going to play it bit by bit and explain some of what's going on in this section.
मातरम वंदे मातरम
आसे तु हिमाचल पर्यन्त दिग्विजय कृच्छङ्कराचार्य विदिताखिलाण्ड परमेश्वरी
परमे काश्मीरपुर श्री शारदा कलावती भारती पंचापकेश युवती परमानंद भैरवी परमानंद भैरवी
मेघालयामरुणां त्रिपुराम्बिका नागाभरणां मेघालयां त्रिपुराम्
कामाख्यपुरवासिनी कामवर्धिनी.
So just the nature of the lyrics and also the visuals would have explained what is going on in the first part of the sacred geography. So we start with Kashmir. Kashmir Purashri Sharada Kalavati. That's how the composition opens as it deals with different regions. So the name of the raga is Kalavati from the Carnatic music tradition, and it hails Sharda as Kalavati herself. Then the next line is Panchapakesha Yuvati. So the 5 rivers that are born by Shiva so in his hair and his Devi. So that's how we refer to Punjab there. And then, so in terms of visuals, the best thing we could do was to show Chandigarh and the plane landing there. Okay, so that's a kind of representation of that region. The next one is, then we go to northeastern India, Meghalayam, Tripura, Arunam, Tripurambikam, Nagabharanam. So it's like Meghalayam, one who is in the abode of the clouds herself. The name of the raga is Megh, and who is red in color. Tripurambikam, who is Tripureshwari in the Srividya tradition, and Nagabharanam, one who is decorated with jewels resembling the snake. So, and these names actually refer to the states in northeastern India: Meghalaya, Tripura, Arunachal Pradesh, and Nagaland, and so on and so forth. So that is a pun in that line. And the next line goes straight to Kamakhya in Assam. Kamakhya Puravasini, Kamavardhini. So name of the raga is Kamavardhini. Then next it goes on to Bhairav, where it venerates Bhairav in Varanasi. And then it goes on to Yamuna, right? The land of Raj, basically, in the raga Brindavani, naturally. And then it goes to the raga Gurjari or Gurjari Todi, dealing with the Gujarat region and extolling Devi there. Then it goes into Maharashtra with the raga called Bhavani. So you see visuals of the some of the forts built by Maharaja Chhatrapati Shivaji there. So let's watch until that point and then go to the next section after that. So pay careful attention to the visuals and see how they correlate with the ragas as well as the regions that are being shown there.
माळवगौळदेशव्यापिनी महाभैरवसुपूजिता
भैरव पूजिता
यमुना नदीतीरवृन्दावनव्रज पुण्यभूम्या
प्रभास गुर्जर पीठ स्थिता श्री कालिका शिवानुग्रहदां श्रीशिवां भवानी भवनाशिनी
त्रिलिङ्गकलिङ्गत्रिखण्डेशीं तारा तारिणी
हिन्दोळद्युतिं जगत्वन्द्यां विन्ध्यवासिनी दोलद्युतिं जगद्वन्द्यां विन्ध्यवासिनी.
The next segment is very important. It's about Vijayanagar, about Hampi. If you have not been to Hampi in your lifetime, you should certainly make a journey there. It's a must-visit destination. It's a source of inspiration. It's where Kishkinda is. You go there, you come back feeling energized, inspired, wanting to literally start a new chapter in life. So that's the nature of the vibes that you feel in Hampi. So what is special about Vijayanagar? At least in this composition, we describe Devi as Vidyaranya Vinutam, one who is worshipped by sage Vidyaranya, who was instrumental in the founding of the Vijayanagar Empire. Vijayanagarim. So the name of the raga is Vijayanagari. Kanakavarshini. So there's a story that thanks to the worship carried out by Vidyaranya enabled a rain of gold coins, which is why we refer to Devi here as Kanakavarshini. Then the next line goes into Karnataka and Kannada Rag. Then after that, we get into Malaya Maruta Shitalam, Malaya Chalaniketanam, which is Kerala. And then we get into the tip of the land, which is Bindu. Bindu Mandala Vasini is how we describe Kanyakumari or Devi here. And find the last raga is a punch, and I will get into that as soon as we get to that particular line. Let me play the rest of it now.
Vinuta Vijayanagari Kanakavarshini Vijayanagari Karnatadi Bahudesha Palini Shulini Malaya Maruta Shitala Malaya Chalaniketanam
बिन्दु मण्डलवासिनी मालिनी कन्याकुमारी
अयोध्या काशी कांची मधुरोज्जयिनी मायापुर्यादि क्षेत्रेषु मोक्षदायिनी वन्दे.
So here, just pay attention to the lyrics here. You'll see Ayodhya, Kashi, Kanchi, Mathura, Ujjaini, Maya, Puri. Puryadi Kshetreshim, the one who is present in these kshetras and who grants liberation. Moksha Dainim. So these are all the moksha kshetras, moksha puris, regarded. These are places regarded as moksha puris, capable of granting liberation to the seeker over millennia. And so we describe the mother as the divine spirit as of the ancient moksha puris of these places. And here the thing is, we end the line with Puri. So Puryadi Kshetra. So the name of the raga is Purya here. I'm just going to play this line again. This is probably the most important line in this segment.
काशी कांची मधुरोज्जयिनी मायापुर्यादि क्षेत्रे श्री मोक्षदायिनी वन्दे मातरम्.
So the next chapter is about ragas itself. So music is considered to be a means of spiritual liberation. It's said that Veena Vadana Tadvajnaha Shruti Jati Visharadaha Talagnaha Aprayasena Moksha Margam Niyaschati. So to whom? To a person that's skilled in the art of playing the Veena, who is an expert in ragas and Shrutis and Tala, to that person, moksha is guaranteed. That is one of the fundamental aspects of the Sangeeta Shastra itself, and also it's considered to be a root, considered to be a means to attain moksha. And the concept of ragas exists in northern India as well as in southern India. And there are ragas that bear the same name but have a different construction and different approach. And there are ragas that have similarity in constructs and compositions and so on, but have different names. And there are completely different ragas in both traditions as well. So we deal with some of these in the third chapter, which is called Colors of India. And the first raga that comes in there is what's called Bhupali in the Hindustani tradition, which is known as Mohanam in the Carnatic music tradition. And they use the same notes, and you will see the similarities and the differences as you hear them. But the second one is very important. It's called Chitta Ranjani. So it's the raga that pleases the intellect, pleases the soul, pleases the chitta itself. So it is heard only in the Carnatic music tradition, and it was used by a composer by name, a Vageyakara by name Swami Tyagaraja, who lived more than 200 years ago. So he describes Shiva as the embodiment of Nada itself. So he is the form of the cosmic energy, Omkara, Nada. And he is the source of the Saptaswaras, Sari, Gama, Padhani. And I'll play you that segment and explain that, and also the visual segment, visual significance behind it. And it's a very important aspect of Indian archaeological history as well as musical history that we're going to see in this very small segment.
Vande Mataram. Vande Mataram. मनमोहनकर संगीत स्वर राग ताल विनोदिनी.
Once again, as a refresher, this is Mana Mohanakara. Mohana is underlined. This is the name of the raga. Sangeeta Swara Raga Tala Vinodini. And the name of the raga is Mohanam. This is number 37 in this cycle, in this set of ragas. And then it's in green. So it says it's from the Carnatic tradition. So the translation is that who delights in the ragas and talas that adorn the music that pleases the heart. And here, Teja is fire, Anila is wind, Neer is water, Ambar is sky, Bhu is earth. So the five elements, the one who protects the five elements is the mother. And the name of the raga is Bhupali. As you can see, it's underlined here. And the name of the raga is shown here in red. It's from the Hindustani music tradition. And here's the translation. Who protects the five elements of fire, wind, water, space, and earth.
Sari gama pada ni da pa, sari gama pada ni da pa, sari gama pada ni da pa.
ಸರಿಗಮ ಪದ ನಿರತಾಂ ಚಿತ್ತರಂಜನಕರ ಚತುರ ಚಿತ್ತರಂಜನಕರ ಚತುರ.
Let me freeze here. The image you see here is that of is from the Elephanta caves. This is people normally say that it's Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. But actually, it's called Trimurti Sadashiva. It's a representation of the Panchamukha Shiva. 3 of the faces are seen here, but 2 are hidden. So Sadyo, Jata, Vamadeva, Aghora, Tatpurusha, and Ishana are the 5 faces of Shiva. And they are supposed to represent the origin of the 7 swaras. See, Sa and Pa are fixed, and Ri, Ga, Ma, Dha, and Ni can have variants. So the 5 faces are supposed to represent the origin of these swaras, and which is the reason we are showing this. This is probably one of the oldest representations of the 5-faced Shiva. This is in Elephanta Caves, which is in a little island off the shores of Mumbai, Bombay. You can reach there by a ferry. It's quite a trek to get to the place, and also quite a trek to climb up and go there to the caves. But it's definitely worth visiting this place, and especially given the historic significance of the whole thing. And the next raga that's going to come in here is called Todi. A Todi is a raga that's in the has a certain set of notes in the Hindustani tradition and a certain other set of notes in the Carnatic music tradition. And the word that I use in this composition is Atodia. Atodia is an instrument that's referred to in the Valmiki Ramayana as one of the instruments that is played by the Rakshasis, as Hanuman heard them being played when he landed in Lanka. So Atodia is an instrument. So the phrase that I use here is Atodyadi Vadya Samodini Viragini. That's a name. That's a phrase that I use here, and it's sung in 2 different versions of Todi. And then we go to a couple of other ragas, and we'll go into Raga Nand in just a bit.
ಅತೋಡ್ಯಾದಿವಾದ್ಯ ಸಂಮೋದಿನಿ ವಿರಾಗಿಣಿ ಮತೋಡ್ಯಾದಿವಾದ್ಯ ಸಂಮೋದಿನಿ ವಿರಾಗಿಣಿ. मृदुभाषिणीं श्रितरञ्जनीं श्यामाभामतुलाम्.
मृदुभाषिणीं श्रितरञ्जनीं रामां रमणीम्.
आनन्दकण्ड विमलां सुजलां सुफलां.
This is a raga called Nand, and there's a very famous melody in Hindi film music, Tu Jahan Jahan Chalega, Mera Saya Saath Hoga. So you can easily recognize that melody, which is almost like a trade stamp of the raga Nand. And the lyrics are inspired here by Vande Mataram, Sujalam, Sufalam, and so on. And the next 2 lines will deal with Raga Mand, the Northern Indian tradition as well as the Southern Indian tradition, but using the same lyrics. And then we will jump on into ragas and rain, and I'll just speak about that in a minute.
आनन्दकण्ड विमला अखिलाण्ड कोटि ब्रह्माण्ड नायकीं राज्ञी पुराणी. अखिलाण्ड कोटि ब्रह्माण्ड नायकीं राज्ञी पुराणी पला.
So it gets very interesting once you get into the depth of the ragas and the stories behind them. And there's a lot, and it would be lovely to share these in a live presentation, and also share the inspiration behind every single line of this composition. But I want to jump to the last section of part 3, which is about rain. There's a very strong, now the monsoons are going on in India, and the raga that is associated with the monsoon season is Malhar. Malhar, the word mala refers to dirt, and Malhar refers to the ability to clean the dirt away. The rain has a magical ability to clean away the dirt. The dirt that is not only the dirt that we perceive outside, but also the dirt of the mind itself, right? So we refer to Devi as Malaharini. And there's a raga in southern India called Amrita Varshini. So Amrit deals with immortality. So what gives you life? So rain is referred to as Amrit itself. So more than 200 years ago, there was this Vaggeyakara by name Muthuswami Dikshita who created a torrential downpour with the singing of this raga Amrita Varshini. So I'm going to present these two ragas at the end of part 3, and then we will jump into part 4, where we look at at Devi in the form of yoga itself.
Biyatadibhuta-kiranavalim pranadatriim pranarupiniim malayadriparvatavardhiniim malahariણીim
मलयाद्रिपर्वतवर्धिनी मलहारिणी
मलहारिणी भवानी अमृतवर्षिणी
So now we come to the last segment of this composition, which is about 5 minutes long, and it's titled Yoga. And India is the source of yoga, basically. The Indian dharmic tradition is pretty much a source of yoga. And the Lalita Sahasranama, or the 1,000 names of Devi, describes Devi herself as she's represented in the various chakras, all the way from the Mooladhara chakra to the all the way up. I don't want to get into the details of the chakras here, but we'll let the music actually speak for itself. So we represent each of the chakras using a raga, and with the name of the chakra shown in there, also with also the visuals going through some of it. So but prior to that, it's like we also describe Devi as worshipped in the Sri Chakra itself, using the raga Lalit and also the raga Lalita. So here, let's go to that.
Vande Mataram, Vande Mataram.
Yoganandam Yugandharam Yoginim Yogadam Yogyam
Shri Chakranilayam Kamalam Lalitam Tripura Sundari. Shri Chakranilayam Kamalam Lalitam Tripura Sundari.
So here come the chakras, one by one.
Mooladharaikanilayam Hamsadhvani Virajita Swadhishtanabjanilayam Bhage Shrim Chandrikam Manirangavalyalankritam Manipurabjanilayam Anahatabjanilayam Sunada Vinodini
Vishuddhi Chakranilayam Viraga Shuddha Hridaya Viditam Dhanyam Gaudana Sakta Chitta Agya Chakrantaralasta
Raka Chandravadanam Sahasraram Bhujarudham.
Raka Chandravadanam Sahasraram Vujarudham. So this is Raga Chandra counts. And the first one was Mula Dharaik Nilayam Hamsadhvani Virajitam. Hamsadhvani is the sound of the Hamsa or the Ajapa Natana. And it's very closely associated with a pilgrimage center called Tiruvarur in southern India. This is the place which is referred to as the Mooladhara Kshetra. And so that's why the Hamsadhvani Raga is tied to the Mooladhara Chakra. Then we have Bhageshri, then other ragas, Maniranga Valayalankritam, Maniranga Valayalankritam, Manipurabja Nilayam. So here's a subtle representation of Manipur here with the Manipuri dance form. So there's a lot of connection between the visuals and everything that's going on here. Then we get into Sahasra Vida Madhura Namnim Lalitam Gaurim. Then we refer to Devi as Bhattarika in the raga Bhattiyar. And then, so here you will see Durga, Lakshmi, and Saraswati getting represented in succession. So let me just play the section.
Ita Gauri.
The raga Gauri.
Bhattarikam Bhavatarini Bhagavati Brihadambikam.
Here's Durga.
Durajara Shamanim Durga Durlabham Kamalam Vimalam Kamale Shahitam Kamalāsana Vandita Kanjaparam
Shastramayim Saraswatim Guhabam Gurumandala Saraswati.
So here, the thing to note is when it comes to Saraswati, we are showing visuals from the Saraswati Mahal library. And the other thing to note is in part 4, I have not translated the lyrics. The main reason is that these are all mostly non-translatable phrases in Sanskrit. So it's best to leave them the way they are. And now let's go on to the last part of it, which is Bhairavi. Typically, any Hindustani concert ends with the raga Bhairavi, but we also have a raga called Bhairavi in Carnatic music. I'll start with that and then go into the concluding part, which is Bhairavi, which is the grand ending to the whole thing. Swatantram Sarvatantreshim Kavindradinuta Bharatim Vivida Bhashinim Sumanatoshinim Shri Bhargavim Bhairavim Vande Mataram. So that's how the whole thing, Bhairavi, Bhargavi, and Bharati. So that is a description of Devi as we end this composition. So let me just play the last segment.
Jwalamukhi Bhagavati Bhagamalini Bhairavi Jwalamukhi Bhairavi.
Jwalamukhi Bhagavati Bhagamalini Bhairavi
Swatantram Sarvatantreshi Swatantram Sarvatantreshi Kavindradinuta Bharati Vida Bhashinim Sumanatoshinim Shri Bhargavi Bhairavi Vande Mataram Vande Mataram Vande
precision of the lyrics and the visual and the raga, the name of the raga is so precise. Are you an engineer by profession?
By education, yes, yeah.
I especially wanted to point out to the precision and fusion of the raga and the name of the raga and the lyrics as in Mohanam,
Yeah.
Rag Mohanam. Could
Mhm.
you, if possible, repeat it or tell us that a little more about that?
Yeah, Manamohana Kara Sangeeta Swara Raga Tala Vinodini. It's a very simple line. So Manamohana Kara, that Sangeeta Swara, the music and the swaras that delight, Raga Tala Vinodini, Swara Raga Tala Vinodini. So one who delights in the swaras and ragas and talas which constitute the music that bewitches the heart, which attracts the heart. Mohan is the name of Krishna, right? So Manmohan is that which delights the heart. So Raga Tala Vinodini. So she is the one that delights in this kind of music. And then the complement to that is that Tejo Nala Niram Vara Bhupalini. So Bhupali comes right away there.
So once you pointed out the visual on the Chandigarh note, I started observing. Towards the
Okay.
end, there was this Jwalamukhim Bhairavi.
Yes.
The visual was some south. I thought the visual would be the Jwalamukhi temple we have in Himachal, but it was something else.
Yeah, that's true. See, Jwalamukhi is basically the name, one of the attributes of one of the names of Devi, basically, and Jwalamukhi temple is in the Himalayas. But what we showed was a folk dance, again, typically performed in honor of Bhagavati Devi. And in this context, we also showed some fire there. So kind of symbolizing the Jwala itself. And we did not get the visual of Jwalamukhi temple itself precisely. So some of it is symbolic and some of it is actually really in the place itself. Yes.
Yeah, so this fusion of the modern with the traditional, especially in the visuals, is also really commendable. Do you have anything to say about this?
Yeah, I think things like this can be done and in an even better way with the evolution of AI, right? I mean, we could not have done this video about 20 years ago. It would have involved tedious shooting going from place to place. See, all said and done, our inspiration goes back to Mile Sur Mera Tumhara, with all the artists in place and shooting done in many different parts of India. So that almost like stands like it's out there, right? It's like a pole star guiding us, and it's one of the pioneering efforts in the history of Doordarshan, basically. So, but today it's possible to do a lot more, and generally in theater, generally in musical production. So I've done a lot of music productions, and one of them is called Shanti, A Journey of Peace, where we had like a choir of about 150 people singing music on stage in both people of Indian origin and non-Indian origin with a full-fledged symphony or chamber orchestra. So a cast of about 250 people on stage. And then you have to use some idioms to convey some timeless truth. And it always works. And here with multimedia, it's very possible to connect with the old with the new and tell stories in a very powerful way, and also use colors in a powerful way. I mean, every single thing that you put on screen has an impact. So the idea is to maximize the extent of image, to keep it simple on one front so that people don't get dazed by what's going on, but at the same time use every single aspect of every line should tell a story, right? So that was the approach that kind of naturally came while I was doing this, and I'm really grateful that this has turned out the way it has.
I just want to know something about, because it seems that you yourself is also very good musician and you are singing also, and you're very much involved very deeply involved in this, both technically as well as practical while singing. And see, I just wanted to know something. Have you done some work on? It seems you have done many things. Any work on like music with notations and emotions, like Komal or Kharaj, Swar, and then with the emotions. It is there. It is many books. It is there. But
Mhm.
because your job is the way I'm seeing your job is much more than what is available in the books. So basically, I just want to know whether you have done specifically some technicalities about particular emotions, many emotions, with many notations. And all these ragas are composites of a combination of different notations.
That is correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
A raga is generally associated with moods and feelings and expressions and times of the day and seasons of the year and so on and so forth. And ours, Indian civilization, is the only one that has actually dealt with music in this way. It's an experiential approach to music itself. It's not Music is not in isolation. Music is not merely a form of entertainment. It's a means for spiritual liberation. So in the sense, it has power. So certain ragas definitely have some certain powers to move you, and certain ragas can lift you up. They can be uplifting during times when the mind needs some upliftment and so on and so forth. Specifically, I've not done research into these, but I've had some experiences where in choral rehearsals and practices, there are circumstances that are difficult to describe or even believe that could have happened just by a congregational rendition of certain pitches. The whole mood changes, and so it's like in one particular instance, we were part of what's called the World Choir Games, and that was a hot day of about 108 degrees or something like that, and everybody was extremely depressed and tired and all that. And we were rehearsing Rag Bhopali in a dark room, note by note, in extreme Vilambit Gati. The kind of awakening we had at the end of the whole thing and the miraculous transformation in energy was something. And the other experience I have is the Raga Amrita Varshini, which was portrayed in here. We had a rehearsal session where at the end of the session, we actually saw rain coming, although there was no indication of rain before that. So is it, are the people won't even, it's hard to believe those in the context of today's reality. But actually, if you get into the depth of these, there's definitely more work that needs to be done in all aspects of this. And thank you so much for bringing that to the fore.
Fantastic job. You have done a fantastic.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you, Ji. Yeah, and my prayer is that this gets shared far and wide. A lot more people should watch it, I believe, because it's a tribute to India, and it's a way to understand India that in a way that we have not before. And I have got a lot of good comments and reviews from a lot of people, but it's still yet to reach out to a wide range of public. So the sankalpa is that it should reach out. So I thank you all for sharing that.
I do have a few more questions.
Please.
If you go to Haridwar, to
Yeah.
the Gayatri Ashram, there
Mhm.
is a visual graphic of the human body, and it
Yeah.
says how when you chant the Gayatri, it affects your different chakras, different notes or different words affect your chakras. And you
Mhm.
have kind of said something about different ragas corresponding to various chakras. Is that based on some such correspondence, or is it random?
I wouldn't use the word random. Some of them actually go there because Moola Dhare Kanilayam Hamsa Dhvani Virajitam. That's definitely a correlation between the connection between the raga Hamsa Dhvani and this place called Tiruvarur, which is referred to as a Moola Dhara Kshetra by none other than the Bhagyayakara Muthuswami Dikshitar, who was an exponent of the Sri Vidya Tantra as well as the Advaitic philosophy, who lived about more than 200 years ago. He lived in this place, and he refers to the place as Mooladhara Kshetra, and he refers to Devi herself as Samsadhvani Virajita. So that one definitely corresponds there. And some of them just came with the flow in the sense Vishuddhi Chakra Nilayam Viraga Shuddha Hridaya Viditam Dhanyam. So it's like that's a raga called Shuddha Dhanyasi. So Vishuddhi Chakra Nilayam, who resides in the Vishuddhi Chakra, Viraga in Shuddha Hridaya Viditam, who is perceived by the heart or the mind that is devoid of raga dvesha, and dhanyam. So it's like the words just fell in place there. And so I can speak only for a couple of these, not for all of them. And then Raka Chandra Vadanam, one who's of the radiant of the complexion of the radiant autumn moon. Then Sahasrara Mujarudam, so who is in the in the 1,000-petal chakra, and who's as radiant as the moon. So that's where Rag Chandra counts came into play. So
that's most beautiful, because I have a parijat tree at home, which is also called Har Singar in North. And usually we relate it to Krishna and the story of Krishna and Satyabhama. But one scripture I read about Hanuman, Parijat Tarun Mool Nivasanam. And that is how, I mean, that is the only place when you mentioned that scripture written. I mean, I have full faith in scriptures. Rag 23, Shri Shivam. And you showed the Chhatrapati Shivaji terminus over there.
Yes. Okay. Oh, yeah. The story behind that, 23. The name of the raga is Bhavani. Bhavanim Bhavanashinim. So that comes after Gurjari. Shivanugrahada Shri Shivam Bhavanim Bhavanashinim. Shri Shiva is one of the names of Devi. It comes towards the end of the Lalita Sahasranama. So Bhavani, the connection between Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj and Devi Bhavani is known to all. So this had to be used in the context of Maharashtra. And when you show Maharashtra, so I wanted to show CST there. So just to show the connection to, although it's not an Indian, it's not a traditional, it's not a monument built by the Marathas or anything. It's a British monument basically, but it's called Chhatrapati Shivaji Terminus, and everybody knows that. So that connection comes there obviously, and immediately we go to a transition to a fort in Maharashtra, and that is how the connection with Bhavani is established there.
One more question. Even before you mentioned Punjab, I noticed that, and I thought I would ask about that, because although I know very little Sanskrit, but you can make out. I also wanted to ask about Kalvam Kalpam Kalananda Kalikam.
Kalavatim Kalalapam Kalananda Kalikam. Yeah. So Kalavatim Kalalapam Kalananda Kalikam. Some of these words actually occur in the Lalita Sahasranama as a description of Devi, as Kalavati herself, and who is the embodiment of arts, Kala, and who delights in the arts, Kalananda Kalika. So, and the word Raga Kalavati comes 2 times in this composition, because we have Kalavati in the Hindustani tradition, and we also have Kalavati in the Carnatic tradition, in a manner that was utilized by the Vageyakara Muthuswami Dikshitar. I keep going back to the name Muthuswami Dikshitar, although the name may not be familiar to a lot of people, but it should get familiar. I have made a documentary on his life, and we hope to get it screened in many different places. And Muthuswami Dikshit basically, he was a Vageyakara who lived more than 200 years ago. He was born in southern India, in this Mooladhara Kshetra, Tiruvarur. He lived in many different places, one of which was Kashi. He lived in Banaras for like 5 years. All his compositions are in Sanskrit with the exception of 1 or 2. So by and large, he was a pan-Indian composer. He also wrote lyrics in the Sanskrit language to many Western tunes that came to India during his time. So he was far ahead of his times. He was a Sri Vidya Upasaka. He was an exponent of the Advaita philosophy. And he visited temple after temple, singing the glories of various places he visited. And many of his compositions bear references to Kashi Vishwanath and so on and so forth. Okay, so his is a story that needs to be known to all of India. Okay, now he uses the Hindu Carnatic raga Kalavati. Kalavati Kamalasana Yuvati is how he refers to Saraswati or Sharada, literally Sharada enshrined in Kashmir. So because he describes her as Kashmir Pura Vihara. So that's the reason I deliberately brought in the Raga Kalavati, Carnatic Kalavati, into part 2. So as the very first place in the sacred geography of India. So that was a long answer to your question. Yeah.
And this, you talking about one of the first ragas when you start mentioning geography. I'm asking about one of the last ones.
Yeah.
You said Bhargavi Bhairavi, and the
Yes.
visual is which city? Is it Bangalore by any chance?
No, actually, towards the end in the Raga Bhairavi, we show visuals of all over India because that's where the whole thing comes to an end, right? So the entire set of lyrics in the Raga Bhairavi, Jwala Mukhim Bhagavatim Bhagamalinim Bhairavim. So the name of the raga comes there. Swatantram Sarvatantreshim Kavindradi Nuta Bharatim. So there's a pun there. Kavindradi Nuta Bharatim. So one who is worshipped by the greatest of poets. She is Bharati or Saraswati. But we also show the images of Mahakavi Subramania Bharati and Rabindranath Tagore there. So that is a pun, literally. Then Vivida Bhashinim, who is, who is the embodiment of all languages, basically. Vivida Bhashinim, Sumanatoshinim, so who delights all the good minds. Shri Bhargavim Bhairavim. So you deal with Bharati, Bhairavi, and Bhargavi together in the Raga Bhairavi towards the end. And at that point in time, there's no distinction in terms of which part of India. So it's basically visuals from everywhere at that point in time. And celebration, you see all the fireworks and everything. So, to me, I think there's so much joy just in expressing this. And I hope it comes through in the expression itself. And I hope people watching it get that sense of joy that I was blessed to get while I was creating this work.
So I have nothing more to say. Do you want to share something else? This is so exhilarating and so like बीच में मेरे रोंगटे खड़े हो रहे थे in the middle of it. Would you like to share something? Swapanji has a question.
Yeah, I'm happy to answer. Please go ahead. And others, please come up with questions. I'm happy to answer them. This is a topic that I just love talking about.
I heard where we started from South Indian notation first, the approach. Yes. And then the North Indian. So,
exactly.
And its approach also a little different. So is there the composition is different or is the same composition?
No, but it's same words.
Same.
The lyrics are the lyrics are the same. The notation is totally different.
That's the thing. Actually, the moment I heard it, I thought this is not Bhairavi, the South Indian or the North Indian. Yeah.
It is called Bhairavi in the Southern Indian tradition. There is no equivalent of that particular raga in the Northern tradition. Yeah. The Bhairavi that we have in the Northern Indian tradition, we use it in Southern India. We call it Sindhu Bhairavi.
Sindhu Bhairavi.
Sindhu Bhairavi, yes.
It's the two komals are not there, right?
No, the first one, it's Sagariga Ma Padani Sanida Pamagari Sa. That is Carnatic Bhairavi.
Yeah.
Then Hindustani Bhairavi is Sa Re Ga Ma Padani Sa Sanida Pamagari Sa. So I have a small bandish which I composed. Karuna Rasa Sindhu Bhairavi Kanakambari Katyayani.
Yeah.
Karuna. That is Hindustani Bhairavi.
So different because the moment it started in the South Indian, is it Bhairavi or what?
I'll show you the contrast again. In the Southern tradition, Jwala Mukhim Bhagavatim Bhagamalinim. That is Bhairavi. Whereas in the Hindustani tradition, Jwala Mukhim Bhagavatim Bhagamalinim Bhairavi. That's how it goes.
I don't have a question. Yes. It's excellent to listen to you. I don't want this session to get over actually. So
thank you so much.
So it looks like, but like you mentioned about Amrita Varshini, which brings in rain. which I've
Correct.
heard. Then
Mhm.
Todi you mentioned. Todi, is it something that gives you when you are low or depressed, or will you make you feel a little low? Todi. Amritavarshini, I've heard effectively used in the Tamil movies as such. I've heard a couple of Ilayaraja songs which uses Amritavarshini. I don't know. Is it right to say that there's a
Yeah,
song?
Amritavarshini has made it to movies in the last
Yeah.
30, 40 years, actually.
Yeah,
I think first
Thoongatha
time
Vizhigal Rendu is one movie, one song.
one song, but even prior to that,
Vizhigal Rendu.
in the movie Raghavendra, which
Raghavendra,
was acted by
Rajinikanth, yeah.
Rajinikanth
Rajinikanth.
acted in it. So there's a small segment that Ilayaraja has used in the Raga Amritavarshini. Mazhaikkurudevane, Varnane, then Mariye
Wow.
Purika, things like that. So it's a
Okay,
very
okay,
short
okay.
segment sung by
Short
Yesudas.
segment. Okay,
So
okay.
that is probably the first time
It's not
Ilayaraja used
Tedine.
it in movie.
Tedinen Devadevam.
No.
Not
This
that,
is
no?
Mazhaikkurudevane.
Mazhaikkurudevane.
It is in the
Okay.
it is in the context of rain.
Okay, okay.
So, but again, Todi.
Todi, yeah.
See, by nature, Todi uses the lower varieties of notes, what we call komal notes in the Hindustani tradition.
Komal notes. Okay, okay.
Sa re ga ma pa da ni sa. That's like Bhairavi basically in Hindustani music.
Okay.
Sa ni da pa ma ga re sa. That is a scale of Carnatic Todi. It's actually more of a recent entrant. It's only like 200-300 years old in Carnatic music. It's not older than that. So there's a lot of this.
Shuddha you mentioned about Shuddha.
Shuddha Niyasi is a very popular raga today.
Okay.
Ilayaraja has made it
Unnal
popular.
Mudiyum Thambi.
Tons of songs, actually. Right from the beginning, Ilayaraja has used Shuddha Niyasi in many different ways.
Punjai Undu, Nanjai Undu is Shuddha.
There is also Shuddha
also
Niyasi. It's called Dhani in Hindustani music.
Okay. Okay. I wish my daughter was listening to this. She's learned Carnatic for about 10 years.
You can share the link
I'll share
once the talk comes live. You can share it, and you can also share the full composition, which is out on YouTube.
Yes, I will do that.
It's out on YouTube, and
so amazing.
My prayer is that it gets shared far and wide. So
definitely, definitely.
The effort that we have put in, not only just me, but also the singers and also the part of the video editors and the producer and the sound engineers and everybody that's worked on it, and also the Hindu University of America that made it possible. So
lovely.
So much of work has gone
into this.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, it's going to be a year, and I hope that before August 15th this year, this gets widely circulated. That's a prayer.
Yeah, that's the least thing that we can definitely will do that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
While you played this Rag Nanda, you were saying something about some song, which was like, because the video was going on, we couldn't hear what you were saying about.
Oh yeah, Tu jahan chalega, mera saya saath hoga. I'm not able to sing properly, but Ananda Kanda Vimalam Sujalam Supalam Ananda Kanda Vimalam Ananda Kanda. So that's where the name Nand also comes in.
Beautiful.
So, I have another composition where it goes Devaki Sutam Nanda Nandanam Bhavaye Bala Krishnamishwaram Nanda Nandanam Bhavaye. That's on Krishna.
And where can we access all your compositions?
You can go to my website, connects.com, and a lot of stuff should be available through links from there on my YouTube channels as well. But that one that I just sang, it is not there. But I hope to get it released at some point in time. It's a 10 rag malika on Krishna, the story of Krishna, basically. I hope to get it out in time for Janmashtami this year.
Okay,
so,
that would be great.
Yeah. Just like Bharat in 75 ragas, it's Krishna in 10 ragas. It's about 10 minutes long. There's a little more elaboration on that. So.
It's most beautiful. We will, of course, put the entire video along with the talk. And,
thank you.
I had invited you to, in case you have any closing remarks or anything extra you'd like to share, what we haven't asked.
I think there is a lot to be realized. See, our depth of understanding of our heritage, I think, is very shallow, because there's so much to be learned, so much to be experienced. It's not just music, it's not just the visual arts, it's not just the literature, it's the combination of everything. What Swami Dayananda Saraswati used to refer to as Purana Vidya, which is a complete sphere of knowledge, basically. So nothing is in isolation. Sangeet is not to be studied in isolation. You cannot isolate literature from art history. You cannot isolate Sangeet from the history of temples, or from the Bhakti tradition, or from literature, basically. So it's a combination of everything. So the more we explore and the more we express, integrating various art forms, the slightly deeper we get into our understanding of Indian traditions. Then, of course, the core of everything, you can relate back to the quest for the spiritual understanding, which always goes back to the question of who am I? How do I fit into this universe? And what is the whole thing about? And that is the quest of everything. And if we keep that in mind, we can really enjoy what has been, with gratitude, what has been made available to us by our ancestors. And we can share that with pride and joy with the rest of the world, hoping that the rest of the world joins us in co-creating more and more such works that will in turn enable all of us to understand more and make the world a better place. So that is all I wanted to say. So, and that is pretty much at the core of the message of Rag Darshan. I hope it has come out, and I hope that we'll find more collaboration to create more works like this. Definitely.